Remembering MLK, see how the Cedar Valley honored the historical civil rights activists.
And a Winter Olympic threat, a potential terrorist attack puts the U.S. on standby.
And later, a librarian during the week and a roller derby skater on the weekends. We'll tell you all about the Cedar Valley's own push-up brawlers.
Hello and welcome to Cedar Valley Today. I'm Nicole Lyons.
And I'm Kelsey Bemis. Martin Luther King Jr. had a variety of service projects people could participate in yesterday.
Wartburg's LGBT group Alliance took a service team to the Grout Museum in Waterloo. This is the first time the group has participated in MLK Service Day projects. They helped with tasks such as cleaning kitchens and repainting walls. The group agreed the experience was definitely worth it.
I'd encourage any student, whether they're a part of a student group on campus, a sports team, or just by themselves, to sign up for a service trip on MLK Day next year. It's a really rewarding experience. This is my second time doing it, and it always just feels good to help others.
Governor Terry Branstad recognized world-renowned opera singer Dr. Simon Estes in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Estes is one of 3 Iowans to receive the 2014 MLK Achievement Award for his commitment to service. Estes is a faculty member in the Wartburg Music Department. Several hundred people attended the celebration held at the Euclid Room in Des Moines.
The Iowa Department of Education awarded UNI a grant to pilot a year-long student teaching program. The grant is worth more than $500,000 and will give UNI student teachers an authentic teaching experience before their graduation. UNI will partner with schools in Waterloo, Hudson, and Linn-Mar to start their program.
January is National Mentoring Month, but one University of Northern Iowa student mentors all year round. Crystal Nye mentors once a week at LSI's Bremwood Residential Treatment Center in Waverly. Nye says she wanted to become a mentor to have the same impact on her mentee that her own role models have had on her.
Just that I've gained a lot of experience. I've gained a friend, and it's fun. Having her around, we share a lot of stories with each other, and I just highly recommend it and think it's really beneficial for me as well as for the youth that need positive role models in their life.
A series of career planning workshops begin this month at Hawkeye Community College.
The workshops will go through June. The first session takes place tonight on Hawkeye's campus at 1501 East Orange Road in Waterloo. All workshops are scheduled from 6 to 7 p.m. Admissions coordinator Jason Streed will lead the workshops. 4th and 5th grade students from Waterloo schools competed in an invention convention earlier this month. 12 judges from the community interviewed students and inspected the inventions. Top scoring entries will be taken to the sub-state level competition sponsored by the Belinda Blank Center at the University of Iowa. 7 Waterloo schools inventors will advance to the state level.
And now we'll turn to Cedar Valley Today's Elizabeth Jewett for our first look at our forecast.
Thank you, Nicole. Our forecast for today is going to be about, at 8 a.m., it's going to be about 6 degrees for the high. It's going to be windy throughout the day. At 8 a.m., it's actually going to be a negative 11 wind chill, so it's going to be pretty chilly throughout the day. At noon, it's going to be about 7 degrees with a negative wind chill again of about negative 14. And then as we move on to about 5 p.m., it's going to be 1 degrees with a negative wind chill of about 22. There's also going to be some dangerous wind gusts about 36 miles per hour. I'm going to go back to you guys.
So it's going to be kind of windy and chilly.
Yep, it's going to be very windy and chilly today.
All right.
Nothing we're not used to.
Exactly.
And coming up on Cedar Valley Today, we'll tell you what you should know in today's Top 5.
And a group of women brought together by roller skates. We'll tell you all about the Cedar Valley's own push-up brawlers. With just a little over 2 weeks before Team USA, their families, trainers, and fans are expected to arrive in Russia. Russian authorities are warning of a potential terror threat. Russian police are on the hunt for a woman known as a Black Widow. She is part of Russia's extremist female terrorist group and is heading out someplace in the city of Sochi. U.S. officials are coming up with a disaster plan ahead of the Winter Olympics. With just a few weeks until the opening ceremonies, the U.S. military has been put on high alert. Warships are headed to the region and helicopters in Germany are on standby. The U.S. military would need approval from Russia before they start evacuations, but they would evacuate everyone from the U.S. and Russia, not just the athletes. One person is dead after a shooting at Purdue University. The shooting happened around noon Eastern Time at an electrical engineering building on the West Lafayette campus. Purdue sent a text message advising students to shelter in place, and it was lifted by 1:30 p.m., even though the building was still closed. Police say it was not an active shooter situation. 2 people are dead after a fire in a Nebraska industrial plant Monday morning. 10 more people were injured when the International Nutrition Plant in Omaha caught fire and part of it collapsed. All missing employees have now been accounted for. Omaha's interim fire chief Bernard Kanger says responders acted quickly, which led to more lives being saved. And President Obama will meet with Pope Francis for the first time this March. The meeting is scheduled to take place at the Vatican on March 27th. The Pope and Obama will discuss their shared commitment to fighting poverty and inequality. Obama's visit will be part of a larger European trip.
For 4 years, a group of Cedar Valley women have been strapping on their skates and hitting the rink. Reporter Jacqueline Schutte tells us more about the Cedar Falls roller derby team, the Push-Up Brawlers.
During the day, Waverly resident Morgan Combs is a waitress and mother, but after her shift ends, she turns it to Morganized chaos. Combs started the Push-Up Brawlers 4 years ago.
The time I started derby, I had a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and my life was quite chaotic.
In that time, the girls have developed a special bond.
A lot of us are women that truthfully probably were not really friends with other girls until we started playing roller derby. Everybody's got their different personalities. We're all pretty strong-willed, independent women on our own, but it's kind of amazing how playing roller derby can form all of that individuality into a really strong team dynamic.
One derby member is a librarian and goes by the name Dibrarian on the track. She says most people are surprised that she is a push-up brawler.
It's always interesting to present it to somebody new because I don't have the stereotypical tough girl appearance one associates with the sport. I'm a rather petite young woman, works in a library, relatively quiet, and in my free time I go hit other women as a sport.
This may look like chaos, but the push-up brawlers are part of the National Women's Flat Track Derby Association. This means they have to follow a 140-page rulebook. The game starts when a group of 5 line up at the track. When the whistle blows, the girl with the star on her helmet has to get around the loop. She scores a point for each additional girl she passes.
You can't punch, you can't trip, you can't throw elbows, but it is a full contact sport, so as long as you're not being reckless, a lot goes.
Both team members encourage everyone to try, even if they think it's something they maybe wouldn't do.
It wasn't really something I thought I would be interested, but I had my skates by the second practice and didn't look back.
The Push-Up Brawlers say they have a couple fans who have only missed one of their bouts.
And now, when is the next bout?
The next one is about a month away on February 8th.
All right, thank you. Coming up in 2 minutes, see how Janesville School District is giving back to a national cause. And later, we'll have another look at your full weather forecast. We'll be back after the break.
All right, we're going to start off with our weather for today. We're going to start off at 8 a.m. The high for today is going to be about 6 degrees. It's going to be windy throughout the day. Noon, it's going to be a high of 7 degrees, again windy. And then as we move on to 5 o'clock, it's going to be about a high of 1 degree, so it's going to be pretty chilly throughout the day. Tomorrow, we're going to have at 8 a.m. a possible chance of flurries with a high of 18 degrees. At noon, we're going to see a high of 28, and then at 5 o'clock, we're going to go ahead and see a high of 27 with a little bit of cloud cover. For the weekend, Friday, it's going to be a high of 33, so a little bit warmer for us here in Iowa. It's going to be windy Friday and Saturday with a high of 17. As we move on to Sunday, it's going to be a high of about 20 and a low of -6. So there is a chance of it being pretty chilly out. And then for our statewide highs, in about central Iowa and Waterloo and Des Moines, we're going to have 11-degree high in Waterloo, 20 degrees in Des Moines. As we move out to northern Iowa, Mason City is going to be about 11 degrees. As we move over towards the Mississippi River, it's going to be about 12, Cedar Rapids 8. Sioux City is going to be about 26, and Council Bluffs about 29. And then as for our national highs, Chicago is going to be about 17 degrees. As we move over to New York and Washington, D.C., where they're going to be about high of 14. Miami is going to be pretty chilly for them, pretty warm for us at about 64. Houston's going to be about 65. Denver about 44. Seattle is going to be pretty foggy out there at 49 degrees. And Los Angeles is going to be a nice warm 82. And then as we move on to our 5-day forecast, Thursday is going to be a low of -11 with a high of -3 with partly cloudy skies. It's going to be pretty chilly. Friday and Saturday is going to be pretty windy at a high of 33 and a high of 17 on Saturday. Sunday it's going to be about a high of 20, low of -6, and Monday it's going to be a high of 2 degrees and a low of -11. So it's going to be pretty chilly on Monday, and we're going to go ahead and throw it over to you, Kelsey.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Now, once again this year, Janesville Community School District will join Coaches vs. Cancer, a national program dedicated to raising funds for cancer research. Joining me now to talk about the event are Destiny Christopher and Marley Stansberry. Thank you girls so much for joining me. So first, can you kind of tell me what will be going on at this event?
One, a basketball game. 2, we have activities set up in the Janesville lunchroom, so like a basketball hoop and a fish pond, just a bunch of like games and raffles to like help raise money.
Okay, and what is it about this program that sticks out to you each year? I know you guys said you've done this for multiple years now.
I think it's how much money we end up raising in the end because it goes to the American Cancer Society. Like last year we raised like $1,500 and our goal is $1,650 this year.
Okay. And how is the money raised? You said, is it through admissions or is it?
We have like raffles set up, so there's baskets that we get donated to us, and you buy tickets to get that and raise money with the games that we have.
Okay. And how do you start planning for this event each year?
We kind of just go off of last year or the year before and just see what we can improve. And
is it a lot of calling people, or is it a lot of people in the community that come together to help with the event?
We have a lot of community members who donate to us to help us be able to keep putting it on.
Okay. And is there any personal connections to this cause?
Not fully. I mean, I'm sure we all have someone who's had cancer like in our lives, but nothing like very close to home.
Okay. And how do you kind of see, I don't know, you said it's student council, you're both on student council, correct? How do people beyond student council kind of at the school or in the community, how do they also help plan the event?
They kind of help by making sure things run smoothly. Like if they see something that needs to be done, they help out.
Okay. Yeah. And really quick, how do you each personally kind of or what do you get out of this event? What's your personal reward?
Just to see our success at the end.
And to know we're helping people.
Yes. All right. And can you repeat once more, when will the event take place?
Friday at
4?
I think so.
Yep, Friday at 4 at the Janesville High School.
It's Friday, not Thursday?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, once again, the event will start Friday at 4 p.m. at the Janesville High School. As they said, the game will be against the Tripoli Panthers. Looking for something to do next week? Right after the break, we'll fill you in on a comedy production coming to Waterloo. And coming up in sports, find out if Wartburg wrestling team could continue their streak of 167 consecutive Iowa Conference dual wins intact. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Cedar Valley Today. I'm Seth Nutting. On Tuesday, 2 undefeated teams in the Iowa Conference went head-to-head inside of Levick Arena. will pick things up in the 141-pound match with Wartburg up 7-0. In overtime, Jace Lopez would get the escape, taking a 2-1 advantage, but in a double overtime, Loris's Matt Holmes would answer, getting the reversal and held on for the 3-2 decision. Moving up to the weight class of 149 pounds, Wartburg's Andrew Steer made the most of his first varsity appearance, getting the early takedown. Knights fans were loving the effort, and Steer would be rewarded with a pin, defeating Loris's Joe Wood in the first period. The biggest upset of the night, 5th-ranked Puna Soriano was pinned just 1 minute into the first period by unranked opponent Cody Flynn. The heavyweight matchup included 2 top 5 ranked wrestlers, 5th-ranked James Buss of Loris and 2nd-ranked Ryan Fank of Wartburg. Both wrestlers got escapes in regulation, sending the match into overtime. In overtime, Buss would be unable to make an escape, and Fank would capitalize in the second overtime, getting the escape as number 1 ranked Wartburg College defeated Loris 31-13. The Knights will be on the road this Saturday as they travel to Buena Vista for the Iowa Conference Duels. After starting the week with the win against Central on Wednesday, the women were looking to do the same Saturday at home against rival Co. In the first half, Mary Brown would get things going for Wartburg, finishing off the nice pass from Kaylee Cladeville for 2. Co took control early in the first half as Hannah Breitbach makes a nice give-and-go pass for 2, and on the ensuing possession, Breitbach again beats her defender, this time getting the basket and foul. The Knights would respond as Alyssa Sager scores 2 of her team-high 16 points, getting the offhanded layup to go down. But moments before halftime, senior Carly Jacobs would go down with what appeared to be a season-ending ACL tear in her right leg. We wish her the best of luck in her recovery. In the second, with the Knights in a 2-3 zone, Co would get several good looks at the basket as Mackenzie Reed hits the open shot seen here. Throughout the second half, Wartburg would continue to respond, nailing several three-point baskets, keeping the score close. Late in the game, with the Knights down by 2 possessions, a perfectly executed inbounds play cut the lead to 2. After 2 made free throws at the other end by Co, the Knights would get several chances to score, but were unsuccessful as time ran out, losing 74-70. In the second game of the day, Wartburg would take a commanding lead early, but Co would make a comeback and make a game out of it. Picking things up late in the second half, Co's Brian Wadsworth gets a steal and is fouled at the other end, bringing the Co-Hawks within 6. Then Eddie Deemer would block a floater by Co's Andrew Worth, but would be called for goaltending. Down the stretch, Co would start fouling, and the Knights responded as Thomas Perkins would hit both free throws. The second one seen here on the final possession of the game, Co's Max Smarzo would pull up for a desperation 3, but was wide of the mark as Wartburg would win by the final score of 71-65. With the win, the Knights are now 2-2 in the Iowa Conference and 8-7 overall. Wartburg travels later today to take on Buena Vista. You can find all the highlights and stories from those games on the Wartburg circuit. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Cedar Valley Today. The Waterloo Community Playhouse is presenting the play Black Comedy, and it has some interesting plot twist.
Artistic director Chuck Stillwell joins us now to walk us through this dramatic comedy. Now, Chuck, can you tell us a little bit more about what goes on during this play?
Well, you should hear the full title, and that helps explain it.
Okay.
It's Black Comedy, or The Night the Lights Went Out.
Okay.
During the first 4 minutes, the audience sits in the dark, but the actors act like they can see. Then there's a power failure, and from that point on, there's light on stage so the audience can see, but the actors have to act like they can't. So we spent a fair amount of time rehearsing in blindfolds to get used to moving around without the benefit of sight. It's the story of a young sculptor, Brinsley, whose ex-girlfriend left him 6 weeks ago, and then at this momentous moment reappears. So he's juggling an ex-girlfriend, a current fiancée, a multimillionaire who's there to look at his artwork and maybe make his career.
All right, and you mentioned the blindfolds a little bit, and obviously it's a complex play. So when do you start preparing for this?
We've been rehearsing for about 5 weeks.
5 weeks. So can you tell me about what your role in this comedy is?
Well, I'm the director of the show, so I've been putting the cast through their paces. At one point, one of the actors said to me, "You're really enjoying this, aren't you?" And he meant watching them struggle. I meant I love the rehearsal process. I love watching people grow and develop and become better during the rehearsal process. And this is a great group, so it's been a lot of fun putting this show together.
And why this show specifically?
Because it's so funny. There's a lot of physical humor because of people moving around in the dark or creating that illusion. And there are a lot of very funny lines. Peter Schaffer, an English writer, has written a very funny play, and then he added the element. One of the things the sculptor has to do, he's stolen, for lack of a better word, furniture from his neighbor, because his neighbor's out of town. Only partway through the play, the neighbor shows up. And now he is in the dark trying to sneak all the furniture back into the neighbor's apartment and bring his junky stuff back. So at the beginning of the play, the set looks quite nice with nice furniture. By the end of the play, it's what the apartment really looks like. And watching him do all of this in the illusion of darkness creates a great deal of the humor, as people barely miss running into each other and accidents barely miss happening.
Sounds very interesting. Now, what different age groups can enjoy this show?
I'd say anybody who enjoys physical humor. Our cast ranges in age from early 20s to late 60s, so that's the age range. As far as your local audience, our leading actor is a Wartburg graduate, Alex Mugin, who right now works for KWWL, and he's doing a great job.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Black Comedy will play at Hope Martin Theater in Waterloo from January 31st to February 8th. Tickets are $22 for adults and $11 for students.
That's all the time we have for Cedar Valley Today.
Be sure to return on Friday for our next show. Have a great day, Cedar Valley.